Welcome everyone to episode 2 of Wyrmfall. This is another game of Demon Gate on Blades and Blasters. So if you like our games, please don't forget to commit assault on the like button. You can find Demon Gate in the links below. This is a West Marches style campaign, so people can sign up and jump in and out at their leisure. And this campaign is about an expedition to the ruins of Wyrmfall, which is an ancient, long-lost city. But first, everyone's trying to get there. We shall see who survives. Tonight we have a couple of new additions to the campaign, and please, if you guys can just say who you're playing, your name and race is fine or whatever. We can start with Tet.
Yes, I'm Flickbrick the Fire Flicker, and I'm a goblin.
And Wander.
My character is Durga Stone Runner, Dwarven Scout. Every inch the professional.
And the Prankster.
Who are you, prankster?
I am playing Hum Nahar, and he is a demon hunter, a Cathalan demon hunter. And I usually narrate in this voice, and I speak in this voice.
And Zypher.
Hey, I'm playing Gath Rainspeaker. He's a human Terran. Narration in this voice and a little more gravelly when he needs to make a point and chant to the lords.
Sweet. And I am Rogue, the GM, for tonight. And let's get to it. You guys should have sight here, hopefully. On a little cottage. Does everybody see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Previously on Wyrmfall, Gath Rainspeaker, Simon Petrikov, Humnahar, and Marcos de la Vera had all run from the horsemen of the Order. A chase ensued, with riders from the church bearing down on the wagon filled with adventurers. A group of Templars and guards that chased down their wagon and attempted to stop them due to the theft Marcos de la Vera had committed against the Pantheos Cathedral. He had stolen a valuable scroll called the Drakar Jakal. Now, to the Order, all were accomplices. After defeating their pursuers, they continued on through the endless night of the Algor. The Algor is nearly over, though, with only half of the month left. Yet, still 3 weeks of darkness without the twin suns to warm the world, or to burn away the monsters of the night. Creatures of this world thrive during the Algor, and it's not safe. The group came upon this cottage in the woods. It was abandoned, but the shaman knew the spirits here were restless. The demon hunter could smell the scent of evil. Yet he found nothing but old remains as he scoured the house of the basement. Simon had summoned a spirit, something wicked, in an attempt to call forth the dead to gain secrets of this place. He may have done more harm than good, though, for whatever he called was vile, and cursed at him with spite. A spirit that assumed the unclean image of a wretched hag. Simon had gone outside to investigate the outer part of the house after the conjuring was over. Hamnahar searched the basement for signs of demons and undead, but found only a few remains of old dead humanoids. Also, some nearly frozen guts on the floor. Gath Rainspeaker had found an old diary of an old woman named Mara Hill, a previous resident of the house. So he began to study the pages. As he read them, he could hear the spirits of the trees talking to him as they moved in the breeze, warning him that something was coming. he felt it too, something coming through the trees. And Duergar and Fibrick, you guys are both running as fast as you can through the woods. You had only gotten a chance to see a cave entrance that you had been looking for before the horrors overtook your traveling companions. You watched a few of them get torn apart by whatever these things were. They were shadows with eyes, clawed, four-armed monsters. And there was a telltale hiss before they attacked, and you would notice a spray of blood before an ally was cut to pieces and dragged away through the trees. So you two are currently in full sprint at the moment, trying to get back to the house and running through the woods during the night. Can you two make dexterity checks, please?
Okay.
Yes, I can. I'm very good.
Oh, nice. All right. So you guys can go ahead and explain how you are making your way through the trees and running from these creatures. And you do come upon the house, the cabin that you had been staying at for several days. You notice that there's a firelight inside, and there's smoke coming from the chimney. What would you guys do when you get to this place?
Durgar's aware that chances of finding someone friendly out here are fairly slim, but if something needs fire, it's at least alive and mortal, and he's much more confident facing something like that. And besides, maybe it is other lost travellers, and it will be reinforcements against these creatures, some aid. So he turns his path slightly, and although as a dwarf he's not a fast runner, he's got a lot of stamina, and he keeps running tirelessly through these trees, looking out to see where Fibrick is and make sure they're staying close. Earlier when they were near the cave, Fibrick lit a branch on fire for him, and he's using that kind of like a torch. Whenever he hears a hiss of a creature getting close, he just waves the torch at it, tries to keep it away just a little bit longer.
Yeah, Frickbrick, he is running along with the dwarf, and he unfortunately is not a very fast runner at all, and he's not very, he can't run very far. He gets tired easily. He ends up having to stop every once in a great while, and when one of these things gets closer, just this gout of flame just rushes from his hands, and you hear him just go, "Ah, yes, fire, be wreathed in the flame!" And then he'll start running again, and then when they get to the house, he seems pleased that there's fire inside.
Where there is fire, there is safety, dwarf one.
And Durgar, slightly out of breath, nods to him and says, "Aye, for once I share your fondness of fire."
You seem winded. Is it because of your smoky smoke?
You might have a point there. We just need to keep running. Oh. And he looks like he's starting to find it really hard going.
Yeah, he's going straight for the house.
Alright, and what are you guys doing inside? I remember, I think Gath was by the window or reading from the book, but Humnahar might have been down in the cellar, but I kind of moved him up, I don't know, up here, so.
Sure. I think Hamnahar, seeing how open the cabin is, and just getting a bit nervous because it looked like somebody was here earlier, but it looked like there's these dead remains in the basement, so he thinks whoever did this is coming back. But the group's also like, hey, we're going to stay here for the evening. I think his idea is to kind of do what he can to make a safe place. So near the fire, he's going to, in this room, kind of create a circle of salt to protect him and his compatriots through the night, in case, just to put up a ward in the event any evil spirits come, because he's just like really on guard.
Gath Rainspeaker would have just finished reading the diary of Mira, and he closes the book, looks around, sees Hamnahar doing the salt ritual, and as he's looking at him, he kind of moves his head and looks through the window, looks at the trees moving in the breeze, and the breeze does seem to be picking up, and he kind of senses something is off. He turns to both Hamnahar and Marcos.
Prepare yourselves. Something comes towards us. Watch out. I fear the spirits. They speak to me.
Do you sense danger on the wind?
Yes, I do. I cannot say what it is, but it is coming.
So I don't know what process he is. He's in. I don't know where in the process he is of completing his spirit ward, but I think he would put on his knuckles and kind of step up to whatever room, whatever window Gath is looking out of. He wants to be on that door, kind of standing in the entryway as a kind of a guardian of sorts.
Yeah, I think that would be the back door there would be good. So you've probably finished salting the back door area when Marcos comes running in, and he's got a blade in his hand already, and looks very worried at this time. His one eye, glaring through his one eye, he's looking from the window to the door, and he said, "Did you see something?"
I did not see anything specifically, but an ill omen is what I feel. The trees, they talk to me, and they are not happy of what moves through them. Be ready, Marcos. Something comes.
Tell me, Gath, do the spirits tell you of more temple guards on our heels?
Maybe I can roll something for that. 1 minute. The abilities I do have. An animal speak. Maybe I can kind of reach out to anything out there. See if maybe like there's some animals out there that are scurrying away in the path of whatever is coming at us.
Yeah. I think, I can't remember, is that a willpower or?
1 minute, let me check in the sheet. Yes, the range is not limited by the shaman's willpower because it may be accompanied through meditation over many miles, but in this case there's no meditation. Must be within the range of the creature equal to the shaman's willpower.
Alright. So you would go to attributes.
Yeah. Willpower. No modifier. 9.
Okay, I'm gonna whisper you something, and at
Okay.
about that time, um, outside as you guys are running, uh, the dwarf and the goblin, you notice as you get closer to the house, it seems like the spirits that were chasing you through the trees or those shadows or whatever they were, um, they seem to have backed off or maybe just hid. They don't seem to be tormenting you and chasing through the trees anymore. Uh, as you get to the house, you notice that, the house is kind of glowing with the firelight coming out of the windows and stuff too. Um, so it does seem safe at that point. Do you guys have the back door closed?
Um, I would say
I would
no.
think so.
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
If no, if Hamnahar would have done it, then when he's putting the salt in, sure. But I think Gath wouldn't have thought about it because he got really engrossed with the books.
Okay, so we'll say that door is closed. What do you guys want to do coming up to the door?
Yeah, so Duragar stopped just short of it, and he turns to face out. And he sort of wheels round with the torch in his hand and a bone knife in the other hand, and is kind of drops into a kind of ready stance, and then sees there's nothing right behind him, and pauses for a second to let Fickbrick catch up. And he's looking all round and says, "Looks like the buggers have backed off. Got a little bit of breathing space." And then almost on cue, he starts coughing and has to kind of gather himself for a second and says, "I guess we should find out what's in the cottage. You ready, Goblin?"
Is the door is closed, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Fickbrick doesn't wait. He just rushes straight past the dwarf and just bolts into the door trying to open it.
Oh, let me in, let me in! It's me, Frickbick! Come on, let me in!
And he'll open the door.
Okay.
You just go inside.
Would we have the capacity to lock the doors or no?
Yeah, if you lock it, he just starts trying to get it open. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the lock has been busted and attempted to be repaired a couple of times at least. Because when you got here, you remember it was broken into.
That's right. You're right. Correct. My apologies. So
No,
yeah,
it's all
I guess as Fickbrick opens the door and Hum Nahar is just standing there, and he's a big old tough muscular dude looking down at this goblin with one eye. What brings you here? These are our lodgings for the evening.
Well, you look like you need some friends. Step aside.
Duragar from behind him says, "Duragar Stonерunner, pleased to make your acquaintance. These may be your lodgings for the evening, but they've been ours for many an evening before that. You're welcome to share them, but you should not in all conscience leave us out here. There's ill things in the trees tonight, and they're hunting us."
I think Gaff looks down and growls, kind of looks as if he's thinking, looks towards Marcos, looks towards them, and then he just steps out of the way of the door. But he would look to see if they have any of the temple apparel on them, to see if they're agents of the people that were chasing us earlier. And if he doesn't see any of that, he would step out of the way.
yeah, when Fickbrick walks in, he looks to Hum Nahar and Marcos, and he's wearing this kind of like a cloak that just kind of flows off his back and covers his small frame, and this narrow staff. And he looks to the two of you and he says,
What is this? A one-eyed party? I have 2 eyes. I want to come in. Do you need one eye to stay here?
Marcos looks over at Hamnahar, and his like look of worry kind of lightens up a little bit as he scoffs.
We'll let you stay for the evening, but you have to promise to close at least one of your eyes the entire time you are here.
I don't think I can do that. That's a lot for me to concentrate on.
Hum would just start chuckling.
Yeah, Durgar chuckles a little too, but he's quite preoccupied. You see that before he closes this door, which he does shortly, he spends some time peering out into the darkness and then carefully closes the door. You can see he doesn't have any temple apparel. He's wearing quite well-made, but not expensive, kind of travelling clothes, stuff made for durability, quite worn. He's got some leather armour, and he carries a bow and a dwarven axe. But you notice that neither of those is in his hand right now. What he does have is a torch. He's just put away a knife. As he comes in, the last thing he does is sort of plunges the torch in the snow to extinguish it, and then pulls it out again, closes the door, steps in and says, "Well, I suppose introductions are in order. As I said, my name's Durgar Stonrunner, Scout. And you?" He looks across at Hamnahar.
So Hamnahar is wearing kind of black pants and a white shirt with sleeves that are just kind of rolled up, and you see his just kind of like bone plate face with kind of like one whitish eye in the right eye socket and one eye that's fixed on you from the left. I am Hamnahar. It is a pleasure to meet your acquaintance. Who is this? Pointing to Thickbrick.
Did you say Bum Pavar?
Hamnahar!
But, I'm just gonna call you Boney. Boney. Boney One Eye. That's much better. Boney One Eye, I am Frickbrick the Fire Flicker, and I like fire. Do you have a fire? Oh, yes, I smell it from here. Oh, the fire. Whoa, look at you. The one with the thing. You're wearing a wolf's pelt. I'll call you Woofy.
He's looking at Gath when he says that.
As you guys kind of come around that wall, you would see tall humanoid standing there. His left hand is clenched around something that you cannot see into. In his right hand, he has what looks like a stone sphere. He's got a patchwork of felt on him, a lot of feathers and quilted work. There is something on his head, but you can't quite make out what it is. Even I don't think Gath remembers what it was. And he's standing there, and he seems to be hopping from one foot to the other, and there is a low hum that almost sounds like a chant emanating from his voice. And you can see his eyes are kind of, though they're closed, the eyeballs are moving pretty vigorously behind the eyelids as he's doing that. And then suddenly his eyes shoot wide open, and he sees the two new people in the room. And he takes a look at them for a moment, and then he just looks past them at Hamnahar.
Simon is dead. Something out there killed him. The horses, they are fearful. They say there's something in the shadow, a demon. It's coming for us. Be prepared.
And then he looks at the at the dwarf and the goblin.
I'm not sure who you are or how you came here to be, but whatever is out there, it's not care. It is gonna devour us all.
Aye, and your horses too. If you want to keep them, you might need to bring them in. But be cautious. Like you said, there's things in the shadows. You can hardly see them until they rip your throat out.
Gat turns to Marcos and
Marcos, leave this to us. Bring the horses in and take care of them. For if we lose them, we will be stranded here for months. And this goblin reeks already.
Marcos looks over towards you and he nods as he sheaths his blade. And he says, I am Marcos de la Vega. It's good to meet you. At least we could be allies for now, no?
I enjoy having friends, yes. Everyone can be my friend.
And you may see that behind Thick Brick, Durgar rolls his eyes slightly at this. He says, aye, we're companions of necessity, at least for tonight.
Durgar is a good friend, yes.
He says, it'll take all of us to get out of this. We don't want to be stuck here for the next 3 weeks.
Telly, was it just the two of you that were taking up lodgings here?
No, there were another one. Boris, well, another two. Boris, Nebin, both of them killed. We found a cave. Those things were in it, or near it. Killed Boris before we even really saw them. Nebin they killed as we ran back. Didn't stand a chance. I'm only alive because of Thick Brick here.
Of course.
He's got his funny ways, but he's damn good with fire, and they don't seem to like fire.
Anything that doesn't like fire, bleh, not a friend of Frick Brick at all.
Is that Hum listens to them and is just kind of nodding. You notice his demeanor get very sullen when, I guess, more sullen at the mention of demons. And he goes out with Marcos de la Vega to accompany him to make certain that he's safe.
Yeah. Frick Brick, he walks over to the... is there a current fire going?
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes and sits down next to it and just begins staring into the hearth, smiling as he looks at the fire and crackles. And if it starts to go down, he will just all of a sudden just he just puts his hand up, and then a fire orb just goes in and keeps rekindling it.
Durgar sits down on the end of this bench. Looks like he's probably sat here before more than once. And he goes to a pouch and spreads out some sort of some kind of dried leaves and some kind of very strong smelling herbal tobacco. And he starts rolling a big fat cigarette of some kind.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, and when he's finished rolling it up, he puts it in his mouth and says, "Thick Brick, if you wouldn't mind." And he kind of leans forward.
And he smiles and he like flips out one finger, and from his clawed like little finger. Like this little small flame juts out, almost like it's like a match, and he puts it underneath the cigarette and kind of swirls it about a few times.
Yeah, Duragar takes a long drag, puffs a couple of times, gets it to light, and then takes this long drag on it, holds it in, and then breathes out, and just seems to relax quite a lot, and just says, that's better. Thanks, Frick Brick. Good lad.
He looks back to the fire.
So you...
He says to... Oh, sorry, go ahead. You go.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, as Nahar is outside, I picture kind of like the winds buffeting him and Marcus, and the snow coming down, and him just like peering with his one eye out to the darkness, kind of appreciating the moment of quiet for a second, but also with the mention of demons and other things that are in the shadows, just doing his best to figure out what, if he can discern what is out there, if anything.
Yeah, you noticed that Marcos was like kind of hanging out at the door, looking out into the darkness, and he was, he seemed totally afraid to go out there by himself. So he seems relieved when you walk up next to him, and he says, yes, unfortunately, I guess Simon will not be joining us on the expedition anymore.
It is unfortunate to lose someone so early and with such power.
I do believe it was foolish to summon a spirit in the house.
To summon a demon, nonetheless.
Do you think it was this that gave us away to the spirits in the woods? Do you think these two are just imposters sent by this evil?
I do not know. What I do know is that when we arrived here, there were human remains in the basement. Something evil was already here before we or they came.
Yes, you can sense such things.
I'd like to think I can.
You do not sense anything about them unnatural.
As Marcos asks that question, I think Hum looks back over his shoulder into the cottage, where he can maybe hear the mirth coming from the three of them sitting around, whether they're getting a drink or what have you, all together. I do not sense the type of evil of demons or spirits from them. I sense the goblin might have a screw loose, but he would make a capable ally if he can indeed summon fire.
Well, as he starts to untack the horses or disconnect them from their straps from the wagon so that you guys can bring them in, he says, well, perhaps we should invite them on the expedition. We are down one. There are still more that I am supposed to be meeting along the way. But, who knows?
I think it is wise. I think it is wise. Perhaps it is the will of the gods.
Well then, I suppose we will eat what is left of our last meals, maybe share it with them, and I will bring this proposition up to them. Maybe their skills will come of use.
Shared meal does go a long way to establishing trust and friendship. I think that is wise, Marcos.
And after bringing the horses in, he tethers them off. Can do a scene with you guys by the fire, maybe talking. This will be inside the cabin. In the notes I had passed for the dwarf, Durgar, and Thickbrick, you guys had found a map to the cave that was not far from this place in the woods, and they were about to investigate it when they were attacked and lost their allies. But we'll leave that for you guys to mention if you want to during the dinner. Marcos comes in and he seems to have a few more meals that he comes in and he says, I shall prepare a meal for all of us to eat, if you do not mind. Beef and cheese and somewhat stale bread.
I'd be grateful. We have a tale to tell as well. But I'll leave it until the food comes. Sometimes a little food makes a dark tale a little easier. But despite what he's saying, he looks a lot more relaxed now for some reason.
There's something about company and being in the midst of a fire on a cold night.
Aye, that there is. And the fire seems to keep these things at bay. They did not approach this place. I suggest we keep the fire high all night.
Well, you said that you had a tale to tell. Hamanahar takes a sip of ale or maybe whatever they have, wipes his mouth. I have ears to listen.
Aye. Fitbrick, do you still have that map?
What map?
The map to the cave. The one we were following earlier.
I think I used it for kindling.
Oh, don't tell me that.
I'm just kidding.
And he pulls it out from underneath his robe and kind of splays it out on the table.
Aye, so when we first came here, we discovered that mess in the basement. And, well, there was some other stuff. There was this map. And, didn't we find a diary as well?
I think that was
That was Gath. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you found, yeah, okay. So, yeah, we found this. Today we decided we'd go down and find out what it was. Looks like, whatever it was, that's where those creatures were. But I can't believe that's why it were marked. I reckon there's something else there. Maybe they're guarding it. Maybe it's drawn them too, but there's something. Something tells me that where there's muck, there's brass. There's profit down there. Maybe with all of us together we could go back and put these creatures to flight come the daylight. Well, actually, of course, there's no daylight at the moment, is there? Can put these creatures to flight once we've had some rest. Find out what's there. Could be very profitable.
Nahar would reach out with his, or like, look at him as if to indicate, can I look at the map, and reach out his hand.
Yeah, it's he's got it rolled out on the table right now, so you can see it freely.
Oh, okay.
And just to describe a little bit, since I don't really have one drawn out, it all it is a trail that goes down through the trees to a small bridge that crosses a creek, and then up a hill to the side of a mountain where the cave entrance is. It's all through the trees here. that you guys kind of deeper into the woods and away from the road. The map does have some weird, almost stick figure-like symbols near the cave.
Now that we've seen these things, do we think it's kind of indicating? Could it be a crude picture of them?
It's hard to tell.
Sorry.
Yeah, it could represent anything from humanoids to... yeah, to anything really.
I was just thinking, didn't they have 4 arms? So if the figures have got extra arms, that might be a...
Yeah, and actually the stick figures only have 2 arms, it looks like.
Okay. It's probably not.
That was a good intuition, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, Duragar will share that with the others and say these things, yeah. 4 arms, claws, hard to see, almost invisible. Whatever this symbol is, can't be them because it hasn't got 4 arms, it's something else. Normally I'd wait till daylight, but that's 3 weeks away. I doubt we have food or water.
Would Hamnahar recognize the creatures as described as something evil, something demonic?
Do you have creature lore?
I do have creature lore.
Yeah, you could roll that. Based on a description, I would say target number 10.
Yeah, Hamnahar would just furrow his brow, trying to think really hard about it as nothing comes to his mind.
Maybe several different things. Probably need more information. Tie it down. But Marcos says, I am starting to regret that we left during the Algor, but I figured that the church would not chase us through the darkness. And then he looks over at the others and the newcomers, and he says, perhaps, if you are not busy, you could come with us and then join us on our expedition.
Pauses and takes a long drag on his cigarette, and says, "Did it pay?"
Oh yes, it is a king's ransom when we find this place. Have you ever heard of the legend of Wyrmfall?
Have I?
Intelligence check or history, if you have that skill.
Okay, I probably don't have history, but let me just check. I do not have history. Okay, I'll just roll intelligence. Oops.
Yep, that is enough. You've definitely heard of it. I would say it's probably basic information. Wyrmfall is to the north of these elven forests, called the Shadownar territory. It's probably a few weeks travel from here, but it's an old ruin of an old elf city that it's supposed to be, filled with treasures, but it's also supposed to be filled with, traps and spirits. So, an old legend of riches that not many people survive and come back from, but as most ruins and tales are, the legend is that the elven ruins were destroyed by dragons, but nobody's ever seen a dragon in your lifetime, you know what I mean? So That could all just be myth.
Duragar sort of nods and says, dangerous stuff, but potentially very lucrative. What's the pay like?
Well, I am a servant of Espadosa, Monsieur Alcaire of Valahena, and he says, I was given this job. I was given this job many months ago to gather up some willing participants with a 20 gold talent sign-on bonus. If you agree...
Duragar has a bit of a coughing fit at the mention of that sum.
If you agree, I can pay you the 20 gold talents, and you may join us.
And do we get a share of profit?
Indeed.
Well, that is a fine offer, and I'll be glad to accept. What say you, Fickbrook?
He's sitting by the fire, and you noticed he's been, his jerky or whatever he's been given kind of sits by him, and like during this conversation he has not been paying attention at all. He's just been staring into the fire, and when you say his name,
What? What? What is that?
This gentleman's offering us a job, Fickbrick. Explore ruins, make a bloody fortune. 20 gold right now in your hand.
Sure.
You see him grab this jerky, and he begins to heat up, just with a kind of like a stick into the fire, and he just keeps it in until it is burnt, heavily burnt, and he brings it to his mouth, and he opens his mouth to shove the food in, and you see kind of something quite distasteful as he looks like he has way too many teeth in his mouth than he should. They're all kind of mismatched and overlapping and pointed and broken and crooked, and as he just like begins to chaw on this just completely just charred piece of meat, just eating with his mouth open.
It's best when it's burnt.
I think it's a bloody waste, as you know, but each to his own. And he turns back to Marcus and says, so we'll sign on with you. In your turn, will you help us find out what's going on at this cave? I think it might be what we need to do anyway to get out of this alive.
Marcus looks to the others. He looks to Rain Speaker and Nahar, kind of inquisitively. He says, do you think we should not just flee while we have the chance, perhaps?
You did speak of finding other things on our way towards our quest. This might be, as they say, an answer that might help us a lot. Not to mention 2 additional fighters. And as he says that, he motions to Duragar and Fickbrick. Having them on this quest with us could prove invaluable. If the only price is to help them clear out a cave of swamp rats, seems to me that it would be worth it.
What say you, Gath?
Um, as you guys were talking, you would have noticed Gath was not sitting anywhere close by you, and then you guys look up and you see him walking kind of all over the house, um, in a roughly circle-like fashion, kind of where you are, but around you. Um, and he seems to be again clutching his left hand, and he's chanting something to himself. Um, During this time, Gath would have, as you guys were exchanging information, Gath would have been performing a circle magic ritual. And just when Marcos looks up to him and says, "What do you say?" he kind of stops midway, mid chant, and looks at you, shakes his head for a bit. It doesn't matter what our next plan is. What is important is the spirit that is outside this house, somewhere in the trees. If we are to flee this house, it will come after us. If we are to go towards the cave, it's gonna come after us. The only thing I can make sense is the fire. It keeps it away.
Perhaps I should just set the forest on fire. A good forest fire is very, very nice.
No, no. That is not the way. We do not burn those that need not be burnt. That is not the way. What I've done here is a kind of ritual. We could lure that spirit into this house. It could be trapped by the circle and we could take care of it. Then let us see where we stand, whether we go towards the cave or we flee towards Wyrmfall. But either way, that spirit took our companion from us, and its misdeeds must be paid back. It should be banished from whence it came. That much I do know.
Talking of that, of this place, did you guys make any sense of the mess in the basement? Bad things have happened here.
I think there was only just some frozen guts down there.
Oh, because had we moved the rest?
No?
Oh, okay. I'll say, no, there's more than that. It wasn't just guts, there was bodies.
I'm trying to remember what we learned the last time we played. What I think it wasn't a person going crazy, like the husband of the house or something.
Yeah. And you guys...
So
okay.
that's when again Gath looks up.
I read the diaries of the people who lived in this place. I'm not sure of the map you speak, the hole you speak of on the map, and the stick figures you draw on it. It could be what the people in this house feared.
And then he goes on to explain the entries he read.
The lady of the house, Mira was her name. She and her husband lived here. They had a child, but the child was taken from them. The last few entries in the document talk about the husband slowly losing his mind. He says he saw his child that disappeared, but running in the woods, happy. He believed something was coming for them, taunting them, playing with them. He set traps all around the house, though we didn't find any when we came here. And that was the last entry. It is not clear if the stick figures at the hole are the cause of all this sadness in this house, all this death. But they do know of this house and have marked it, so we must be careful.
The one that didn't make that much sense to me was one that was had the spear through it. Did you see that one? Stone spear right through it.
Yeah, I remember that Hamnahar and Simon would have definitely seen that in the basement.
Yeah. He talked about some bodies and stuff, but there were no bodies left except for, a couple of skeletons that were like frozen. But you guys found fresh, like, guts that were kind of frozen, almost nearly frozen. So he did mention something about bodies, and then I think Marcos is like, that definitely piqued his interest when you mentioned that. He says, did you find fresh bodies when you were here?
Well, not that fresh, but they weren't all skeletons, I'll tell you that. They weren't long dead, but they weren't what you'd call fresh. It's not something awful.
How long were you gone from this house?
I figure a couple of days, right? Right? Day or two?
Yeah, maybe a day.
Yeah, day at most.
That seems to indicate that while you were gone and before we arrived, something else was here.
No, that's an uncomfortable thought. And Duragar puts a bit more wood on the fire.
Marcos takes the lantern. He turns it on for a minute. And he goes over to the hole that was in the floor. And the hole shines down, the light shines down, straight down to the cellar, where the bodies were piled up, that Fickbrick and Duragar had seen when they first got here. And when you go and look, those bodies are missing. And he says, this is what we found. Just some nearly frozen guts and a few skeletons.
Oh, bugger.
Well, you have seen the dead that walk, right?
He makes little hand signals like something's walking with two of his fingers.
Maybe they turned into zombies and walked on out of here.
If that is the case, I agree with Gaff that whatever spirit is in this place needs to be purged. So, if I recall, one of the things Hamnahar perceived when we first came into this place was a cold spot above the carpet that seemed wrong. Was that kind of like, is that the vibe I got, and I'm only remembering this in hindsight, was kind of like how a ghost almost creates a cold spot. Is it kind of similar to that? Is that what he would have kind of perceived? Because he has thermal vision, I think.
And yeah, no, I was using your thermal vision as kind of like a hint at how you discovered that trap, because there was a rug that was covering the hole.
Got it. Okay.
And there was like, yeah, cold air coming from that pit, because I think you had seen the trap and discovered it before you guys walked near it.
That's fair. I'm super paranoid, so that's probably bleeding over into Hamnahar. Or is he bleeding over into me?
And about that time,
Just as this is going on, Rogue, I would have completed my circle magic ritual. So basically, the plan is I'm just creating a instead of me or somebody else conjuring or summoning things and then trapping them within a circle, I've just created a circle to trap anything that comes at us.
Nice. Let me do this. I'm going to put a circle there.
Yeah, so basically that's what I was doing. I was chanting and walking around the house, and then in times I would stop and answer people's questions.
All right, where do you want to put this circle at? And I'll put it there.
Somewhere closer to the fire, not rightly close, between the two entrances.
Okay. I don't know if you can see that right there. Oh wait, you guys are on a different map. Let me put you back over on that map real quick.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, that would be a good place.
All right, and yeah, just so you know, with this, you could use it to stand inside for protection, or you could try to trap. Yeah.
Yeah, so Gat's plan would be to trap anything that comes in there. And he kind of looks to the group and he says, "Whenever you are ready. I am sorry, Fickbrick, but we might have to put the fire out for a wee bit. Make it look like we're helpless, so what's out there, what's stalking you, feels safe to come in."
He thinks about this for a moment,
And then you can light it up
yeah.
all the way to the heavens.
Well, I put the fire out now and then a big fire later. To those who wait, sometimes it is better. I will release the flames of hell.
He seems okay with it.
What could go wrong with a fire starter in a wooden cottage?
He was very happy about the idea of setting the woods on fire earlier.
At about that time, right after Fickbrick states about unleashing the hellfires, you guys can hear a voice in the woods outside of the house. Everybody can hear it, easily. To some of you, it's not recognizable, but you can hear the voice say, "Help! Help me!" And it's Simon's voice coming from the woods.
Did we ever find his body?
No.
Gat looks at them.
Simon is still alive.
No. It feels like a trap. If he was alive, he would have come towards the house. No, it means to draw us there. Then let us draw us. Let us draw them here. Be ready, brothers.
And then he looks to the fire and he casts douse on the fire to just extinguish it.
Nice. I'll put that out.
Yeah, Frickbrick kind of goes, kind of whimpers. He doesn't like the fire to go out. He looks very sad. He frowns to Druagar.
You'll be all right. Remember, you carry the fire within you. He smiles and nods.
Fire is like a living thing. Yes, Stumpy Man, yes. And when you douse it, it dies. But yes, it can be reborn like the phoenix.
Aye, that it can. They can't douse the fire in you, can they?
Oh, no.
So Hum has heard what Gath has to say, and he believes him, but he still kind of like goes to the door and maybe just like props it open to look outside. Simon, is that really you?
Frickbrick nudges Druagar.
No, it's an evil spirit just trying to pretend to be Simon.
Help! And it just continues to say help. And it seems like it looks like it's coming from that trail that leads to the cave, though. Everybody
I,
make a
s-
perception check too. But go ahead.
I suggest we wait here for a few minutes after having doused the flames. And if nothing comes of it, go to the trail and to your cave.
Durgar's having trouble seeing through all the clouds of smoke.
Oh man, that's rough, huh?
Yeah, we all rolled super low.
I normally have decent perception, but I've just taken it down a bit with what I'm smoking.
All right. You are looking out on the trail through the door, and you can hear the snap of twigs in the woods, and then the crunch of snow, and you start to see shapes, uh, humanoid, slowly walking through the trees, and then you hear some horrible sound of like groaning and oh, I think I have a little sound bite there. There we go. This. And, and through the trees on the trail there, you see these undead creatures coming. You would definitely, once they get this close, you would definitely start to feel that uh, the unnatural senses going off.
Yeah, Nahar, with those unnatural senses just like going off. He looks towards his compatriots. Friends, defend yourselves. Something wicked this way comes.
Right. And Durgar actually looks around, realizes they needed to come into the cottage, and but no, actually, he's going to go. He's going to go over to this window here and see what it is, because it didn't sound like the same kind of thing to him, right?
No,
It
it didn't.
sound like those same things. So he peeks out through the shutters.
Yeah, when you peek out through the shutters, you can see what looks like humans, perhaps, at one time. The bodies of rotted men coming, stumbling through the snow. Um, One of them looks really bloated. Um, I think, if you have creature lore, you could roll that, but
I don't think I do. No. But Dirigar will just try and kind of shake his head a little bit to clear it, and obviously fail, and just say, "That's no spirit. We've got walking corpses. Defend yourselves." And he'll push open the shutter and get ready to fire.
all right. Everybody can go ahead and do their initiative. You click on the token and go up to the top with the initiative button there.
Where they seem to be coming from, this door right here.
Yeah, it looks like they're coming from the back of the house and the right side of the house.
Where could I get a good view of them from in the house? Like,
This window right here is above like some books, like a bookshelf.
yeah.
Um, there's another window over here, but that faces the other side of the house. That one's
Okay.
open. And the front door is not locked. I guess the back door is open too now, right? Let me
Mm.
let me open that. Oh, I closed it.
I guess Duragar's pulled over that chair and he's standing on it. That's how he can see over.
Oh, let me open this window here for you guys. There you go. There is a, since you've been in
okay.
this house for a few days, there was another back window as well. If you go past the horses over here, past the pit,
Mm-hmm.
there's another window in the back that's kind of in a room by itself. That might be kind of scary though to run back there, but you can go look at it real quick if you want to. Anywhere you guys want to immediately run to, you have a chance to do that, and then we will take off with initiative. You would have a few seconds to prep, you know what I mean?
I will do my best to hold the line on the back door.
Yeah, that's good right here.
Nahar, you would know that zombies, they won't be affected by your salt or the spirit circle. They are affected by silver and sunlight, of course. But these creatures here.
What about our
Hello, everyone.
weapons? Are they going to be okay?
Oh yeah, definitely. These creatures here. That's the 4 is high enough as well to know that that's a bloater, and that if you hit them, they can explode and shoot toxic nastiness all over you. And they can projectile vomit.
Lovely.
Totally like the boomers from,
Left 4 Dead.
yeah, it was Left 4 Dead. All right. Here we go.
Oh, I got to roll. Sorry. Yep. I'm the slowest in every game always.
All right. So, Thick Brick, you're running up to that window there?
Yeah,
where you
just
are?
more or less. I'm kind of like hanging back just a bit, but yeah.
I would say you've got some pretty good cover, but this creature is going to attack you.
Okay.
One of them fires an arrow at you, and you can give yourself an 8 for cover.
Okay. Like a +8?
Yeah,
Okay.
when the modifier puts up for you to dodge.
Mm-hmm.
Arrow comes streaming through the window. Oh, jeez. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, he's just
Hey.
naturally so low, it just goes flying over his head, and he's
I'll burn you.
And then at that time, you hear something jump onto the roof and start to scuttle across the roof. It appears in the window. It crawls kind of like upside down into the window, and its tongue like lashes out. It tries to kind of shoot this nasty tongue at you.
Who has the nastier tongue? We'll rub our tongues together and find out.
Oh man.
just normal dodge, right? No.
Yeah. Or if
Oh no, my tongue has been defeated.
Alright, this is toxic damage.
I did roll a gift roll for some sort of thing. Resistances are in what tab? Help me.
Combat.
This new sweet sheet. It is fire. Oh, of course it is. Okay.
Oh yeah, that does make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This is just...
Well, that's not good
Oh my goodness.
at all. Do I roll anything against her, or is that just what I take? That's what I just take, right?
Yeah, off of your
'Kay.
armor. Which is nothing.
Yep. Yeah, this like viscous goo hits him on the chest as the tongue slaps him, and it begins to burn.
Ah, it burns me! Help me!
Since when did you not like burning?
He probably doesn't hear anybody else.
Alright. Another one running through the trees. Or running through the trees.
Want to go on record as saying that I don't like these guys.
This one comes up to the window and starts to break through the window. Duergar, he's going to try to claw you. One action basically shatters the window, and the other one comes and he tries to claw at you. I'll put him right up there on you.
Oh, right. I will try and dodge.
Only a 5 though.
Yeah.
Famous last words.
Yeah, that's I rolled a 4. Yeah, sorry, I was busy having a sneezing fit.
Oh, good. And bloater coming for the door. He can only move 4. He gets there. He cannot attack you yet.
Man,
Yeah,
I just don't want those guys to close the distance.
Yeah, it seems like that there is quite a few of them coming through the trees. And Durgar, it's your turn.
Okay, Duragar's a little worried, but he's going to lean back slightly without, as far as he can, without falling off the chair, and try and put an arrow into this zombie in front of him. Short bow. Just one action. Oof. Good thing it was just one. So it's probably going to miss.
With the zombies, they're mindless, so all you have to do is hit over a 5. So you got it.
I got a 3.
Oh, you got a 3. Damn it.
Yeah.
So that misses.
Okay, let's try again. Luckily it was just one action. Hey, there we go.
There we go.
Huzzah!
Okay, let's drop damage. Eight damage.
Did the music go out?
No, I can hear it.
Still going for me.
And I'm gonna burn 2 frenzy if I can to take down a couple of actions.
Let's see. One shot. Do you have quick draw?
Oh, do I? Good point.
If you have quick draw, that'd be it. And that
I
would
do.
Be... Oh, you
I
do?
do, yeah.
Nice.
But I already had the bow out when I went over there anyway, so I don't
Yeah.
think it was.
So yeah, you can burn frenzy and fire again.
Cool.
You can actually spend one action to aim and get an extra +2 as well. Just so you know that. for
Cool.
future.
Yeah, this one I'm just going to spend one action and fire at this one in front of me,
Cool.
and then if I can burn 2 frenzy total, right?
Total,
Is that
yes.
right? Yeah, so I burn 2. I'll try and take 2 shots. One on this guy.
That's a hit.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Nice. That's a kill.
Nice.
Okay, so as he's trying to claw his way through the window, I just lean back slightly to be able to get a shot on him and shoot him once in the chest and once in the head. And then I'm going to use my last shot to fire at this bloater before it gets too close.
And same thing with them. They're mindless, so all you have to do is hit over a 5. 6 or higher.
Hold on, do I get any... I'll look at my abilities quickly.
Hey Rogue, just so you know, I'm not in the correct order. I should be in between the zombie and Humnahar.
Oh,
Just so you know.
I have the archery talent. I've got one more shooting action.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let me see that thing. Does that fix it there? Here we
I'm
go.
sure it did. Yeah.
Hey, got him. So with my final attack. Oh, I just flesh wound.
Yeesh.
All right. It is now Gath's turn.
So Gat is looking at the bloater that's coming towards the back door. So my plan is to ensnare the bloater. Does that can I use like a aim or a focus to get a better chance of rolling?
Yeah, if you spend one of
Yes.
your magic actions, it'll...
Yes. So ensnare is 2. So can I burn a frenzy point to like kind of concentrate and then ensnare?
Correct.
Perfect. So I'm going to burn a frenzy point. So as I see all these undead coming out of the woods, and Duragar being hit, and I can maybe hear the yelp of the goblin in the other room, I extend my both my hands out, the left hand clutching something, and with the right hand I kind of point towards the bloater and kind of with my fist encircle it. Casting ensnare. Modifier is 1 for aiming.
2.
2. Perfect. 10.
Nice, got him.
Sweet. 1 minute.
That is able to totally trap him right there. And to the point where he cannot move right now as the vines are wrapping up. But you can explain.
Awesome. Yeah. So as I see it and coming towards, I encircle my hands like kind of around him in his general vicinity, and you see from the ground vines and roots start popping out and start encircling its legs or its stubby legs and going up its knees and trying to encircle around its torso. And then as Gath finishes his actions, he kind of chants loudly to his god to regain some of his mana.
Nice. And it is Thickbrick.
Question. Are these guys 10 feet away, or are they 10 away, these two? Or are they further than that?
Are you thinking about Fireball?
Oh, of course.
You could hit all 3 of those guys with 1 Fireball.
Oh, yeah. Well, then that's what he's going to try to do.
When isn't he thinking about?
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's gonna cast Fireball 5 times in a row. Please mana. It's 10 mana drain, right? Yeah. Well, I actually did think about like you jumping forward and biting him, but I'll do the Fireball instead. Okay. So yeah, he just says,
Ah! I'm going to burn you, uglies! So uglies! Maybe a little flesh burned off your bones will make you look better!
and he's gonna launch a Fireball right in the middle of all of them. I'm gonna burn. I've got to burn Frenzy to do it, so I'll do that.
Yeah, that's a big action one.
Yeah.
Hey, at least you fell down right there on that bed. It was a nice cushy bed when he slashed you.
Yeah.
Yes!
Oh, man, that's nice. And that's gonna hit all of them.
Alright. So
Yeah.
the damage is like a spell effects? Yes.
Yeah, spell effects and then fireball and then your damage, no modifier but power 3
Okay.
for whatever level you are.
Oh, I see, yeah. No modifier, multiplier 3.
Roll, roll, roll.
Where is it? Didn't roll, I guess. Let me try again. Also did not roll. I can do it from a sheet.
I'll have to check the macro out.
Let's see. So fireball effect multiplier is 3. Oh, I think I know why. Because I have some here. I think I know why.
Oh, okay. Cool. Sorry, I didn't check your sheet either.
No, it was I had some text in there.
Ah.
If that works. There we go.
There you go.
Did that not explode though? I don't think it exploded, did it?
No. Should
2d6.
have,
It looks like you just got 2d6, not 2d6 with an exclamation mark.
oh, you gotta put the exclamation points in
Okay, so okay, gotcha. Here's another 1d6. And then here's another 1d6.
Oh my god, there we go.
Oh yeah.
The mark of the beast.
Yes, yes.
So how does he kill all 3 of them? And probably burn that tree.
Yeah, he like slams the staff down and just fire just erupts like whoosh and it blows out the window and like catches kind of the house on fire a bit, and then just goes just right through all 3 of them and just burns them into ash just immediately. And he's like,
I told you, pretties.
and yeah.
Nice. Alright. That clears up the board.
And I expect they all hear this, so Duragar sort of says over his shoulder to Gath, he's weird, but he's bloody lethal.
Tech, can you roll a percentile, 30% chance that it catches a house on fire?
Yes, I hope it does.
No.
Oh, dang.
Oh. Probably a little bit, but not bad enough to like
Right.
rush up, burn the whole place.
It's too bad.
Alright, this next zombie.
That's
comes
10
running.
mana, right? Is that correct? I can look, but
Let me see. That is. Oh, the mana drain from that is pretty nasty, I think. Let me see. I think 10 is for the small fire sphere. I might be wrong. I don't know who wrote this game. There you go.
That is some guy in Florida, I don't know.
Florida man. Oh, the drain is 30. 30 for fireball. It's a nasty one. But that was pretty worth it, I think. Alright,
do I get
this-
battle chant automatically? I can't remember.
I think warlocks too.
I thought that's where. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, go ahead and roll that, and then that'll be the result of how much mana you get back. Alright, this zombie comes running past the bloater that's entangled, straight up to Humnahar, and tries to just heavy attack slice into him with its claws. Kind of like a claw bite.
It breaks its own jaw.
That.
Yeah, it breaks its own jaw.
Nice. Yeah. It comes flying in and oh, actually, you can describe it if you like.
Okay. Yeah, I think what happens is the zombie's in such a rush to attack, it doesn't see the landing, right? And it just kind of like its foot gets caught and just like stumbles forward, and just like it hits a wall and bounces off, and is like ready and raring to go still.
Nice. So it's on the ground. Boom. Yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking about. Maybe it tripped on the doorway there. It's your turn now.
Yeah, so Humnahar is gonna take advantage, and he's just gonna like curb stomp this fool.
I was about to say that. Nice.
So can I do like a regular chi strike with my foot?
Yeah, definitely. If you want to make it a heavy, that'd be 2 actions. If you just wanted a quick attack, just 1 action.
I think I'm gonna hit him. I think I'm gonna do a heavy. I want this guy to go down.
Yeah. Oh, that's a critical hit.
Oh my gosh! Awesome.
So that's gonna be a power 4. For damage, you go damage. You remember how to do that?
I do not.
Unarmed chi strike, I think, is what you. Let me see here. Yeah, you did a chi strike.
So I just multiply our times 4.
Yeah.
Do I put times 4 or just 4?
Just 4.
Cool. Curb stomp!
So what does that look like as you take him out?
Yeah, I think he just he trips forward on the landing, lands just face first, and Humnahar takes the advantage and just where his head is, just stomps right down on it, and you hear a sickening crunch. I do want to burn a frenzy, if that's okay, to do an additional attack.
Yeah. You actually have 1 action left, and you can burn 2 frenzy. So you still have movement as well, because you haven't reached frenzy yet. Once you reach frenzy, you can no longer move. So yeah, you still have your movement, and you have potentially 3 more actions.
Well, what I want to do is, I think after he like stomps down, he like quick draws from his boot a silver dagger and just throws it at the bloater that's entangled.
Perfect. And if I remember correctly, you do have the throwing skill, yeah?
I do have the throwing skill, yes.
Nice. And did you want to make this a heavy attack? Like throw a heavy attack?
Yeah, that's why I was thinking I'd burn the frenzy so I could bump it up.
Nice. Perfect.
So do I just do a normal silver knife attack, or do I do something else?
Nope. Normal silver knife attack. Oh, it's entangled. Thanks to Gath's spell, you hit the creature.
Hey.
Yeah! Teamwork!
And the power damage from that is going to be 4 because it's a silver and is a heavy attack.
So do I put that as a modifier or a multiplier?
Modifier 0, the multiplier 4.
Got it.
Ooh, not enough to kill him.
It's alright, it's a team sport.
Hell yeah. But you can see the burning, probably hissing of the silver in its flesh.
So yeah, he curses and presumably after throwing it, stands back up, ready to punch whatever comes through.
Ooh. Here comes the other bloater. And a 4. He can come into the doorway. This one comes in and he tries to heavy attack, slash you with his claws. I've got great sound effects for these guys. I think I ripped them straight from that game.
Oh my gosh, they both crit failed on me.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
What is going on with these things? Somebody sent the fodder.
Right?
This one, we don't have to worry about that because they're mindless. Alright. So, he comes and he whiffs. Next creature, that one's dead. That one's dead.
If he rolled a 1, does he get to riposte on him? Like that kind of stuff, or is that a? Oh, that's a critical dodge, right, or whatever. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, it's been a minute.
Yeah. Another stalker. Comes running through the trees, gets to there. Wonder if you guys can see him through the walls.
Oh
No.
man. I forgot to roll a d6 for my chi, so I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick.
Yeah.
Okay, roll 20. Hurry up.
Being slow.
Yeah.
I think it's all my art on the board, probably. Mine's being pretty slow. I don't know. Is it for you guys?
Yeah, same here.
Dynamic lighting, of course.
Yeah. The bloater that you have entangled is trying to break free. I think he needs to make a strength check versus your willpower check, Gath.
Yes, that's correct. So let me do a willpower check.
Oh, he rolled really well.
Uh-oh, shit.
I believe in you, Gath.
Willpower, come on. No!
Oh,
No.
Oof.
He just roars and he breaks from it. He is going to step forward and try to projectile vomit on Nahar.
Nothing like a projectile vomit attack, man. You know you're playing the right game.
Can I dodge a ranged attack?
Yes. Discharge. I hate that word too. Oh my god. That's a crit defense. If you can quick blade anything, you can attack him and throw something at him. Other than that,
Yeah, I think the only throwing weapon I had on me was the throwing knife. So
Yeah.
unless I can hit the bloater next to me.
no, it's only at the attacker.
Wait, on the table, is that like glass vials?
Yeah.
Can he maybe quick thinking, he dodges that way, grabs something and just throws it at the guy right in his face?
Sweet, do that. You can just do a d20 because you're not specialized in throwing vials.
10-4.
But you can just do a d20 at him. That's hit. And you can do a d12 damage.
Nice. Oh
And
man, that was fruitful.
Now it has oil all over it. Those are oil flasks for the lanterns.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Thick Brick, I have a present for you. Come here.
Alright, that's this one. That one is... Where's he at?
If we get through this without this cottage catching fire, I'll be so surprised.
Well, I can only cast Fireball one more time, probably. So...
You see one of Duriger through the window. You can see one of this undead warriors. He's kind of wearing some armor, like a leather cap, steel cap or something. He's carrying a shield and a sword. And his jaw kind of falls open as he comes closer. Duriger, it's your turn.
Okay, that was awe in seeing a true warrior. I'm going to I'm gonna fire at him. So I'll try 2 actions for the short bow. So a bit of a heavier. Can you do a heavy attack with short bow?
You can aim, and you can extra +2, but until you get the dead eye talent.
Okay. Okay, so
That's...
just be 1 action then.
Yeah.
So that's attack 1. Is that enough to hit him?
It is not actually, because he has a shield, so it hits his shield.
Okay, so I'll try again. I'm just trying to put a lot of...
Now for your target number is 9 is what you want to hit.
Okay. No!
Another shield.
Yeah, and the last one. Hey!
There you go.
Finally got him.
Got his ass.
10 damage. Actually, you know what? I'm going to burn a couple of frenzy. Sorry, folks, it's a lot of attacks, but we're outnumbered, so...
Do it, man.
Do it. Kill them.
Not everybody's got a cool fireball, man. I get it.
I know. Let's have to make do. So, oh, yeah.
Nice. That's
and
a
20. Crit.
2 hits. One's a crit.
Okay, so the first one is just a standard 8, and the second one is it times 2?
Correct. Power 2.
Okay, power 2. Oh, just 12.
He is almost down. Unfortunately, he's still coming. That's what she said. Alright.
That's what the something says to the bishop? Is that what
As the actress said to the bishop.
There you go. Yeah, I almost got it. I'm gonna have to use that one.
Yeah.
I'll practice.
It's Gath's turn.
Gat seen Hamnahar throw that vial on the bloater. He's gonna cast hold on. Oh, nice. Perfect. He's gonna cast with 1 frenzy a concentration on ignite on that bloater.
Okay. That one is 1 action, so you don't even have to burn frenzy yet.
Yeah, because then I want to use another action to cast something else on somebody else.
Oh, okay.
But I want to make sure I hit it. So ignite. Are you kidding me?
Oh.
Do it again.
And then again, this is my standard way of igniting that. Yeah.
Wait, that was oh, that one still misses with the +2. Was that aimed? Is that what you
Yeah,
wanted?
it was aimed, yeah.
Okay.
Aimed
So
is
that was-
+2, so that's 4.
Okay. Alright. So that one still misses, but you still have 2 frenzy.
Okay, 1 minute. So I take 7. I'm gonna burn 1 more frenzy and aim again, concentrate and shoot again. Let's see if this works.
And it's +2 for aiming.
+2. 2.
Oh, come on.
And yeah, so 1 minute. How much was that? 510. Okay. 21. Sorry. And I'll just describe it shortly. So, Gat, seeing the vial kind of break on the bloater, he kind of raises his hands again and chants underneath his breath, and he's like, burn! And he sends 2 spells to ignite the bloater, but given the fact that the other bloater is in the doorway and Hamnahar is standing in front of him, he kind of cannot see the bloater he's targeting, and eventually the 2 spells miss.
All right, it is Fickbrick.
He is kind of in this maniacal rage, a bit, megalomania. He runs forward, jumps out of the window, first thing. So he runs out, leaps out into the snow. He's laughing maniacally.
How about the second dose, precious?
And he's going to shoot a fireball right about here. Will it hit this bloater too, the closest bloater to me?
So it will go 2 hexes wide.
Okay, so 1, 2.
Through. You could hit potentially 4 targets, I think, right there.
Oh yeah, because it's oh yeah. Well, that's definitely what I want to do. Yeah. So he just unleashes a fireball at them. Come on, roll high. That's pretty high.
Yes, hits them. Hits them all.
All right. Okay, spell effects.
It'll be this damage on all of them.
Times 3, right?
Yep.
What? No way! Oh my
God.
gosh.
Oh,
2 ones.
Oh no. No.
that's a bummer.
That is a bummer. Yeah, so he just scorches them barely somehow. Maybe he shoots too high, and just the heat burns them, but he doesn't do anything. I'm gonna.
To be fair, he's been under a lot of pressure at work.
Right. Oh shoot, I don't really know. No, I can't really burn any frenzy for any purposes that are.
You could throw a fire sphere.
I don't have the. I don't have the mana. I'm down to 4 mana. Yeah, I don't have the mana. Got a battle chant.
Yeah, that's not worth it because it takes your hit points and double your hit points for every mana.
Yeah.
And you take mental fatigue.
No, I'm done.
All right, man, that'd have been good though. All right, zombie 4. The bloater that's in there fighting Hamnahar. He is gonna try to. He tried to like gash you the first time he came in with his claws, and he like rocks back and then just tries to discharge all over you. That sounds so bad.
Oh, dude, that's awful.
There's
Doing
no
this
way
kind of
that's a
thing.
good
Slimer
word.
threw up all over people in Ghostbusters.
It's low.
Here it is.
Oh my god!
Nice.
Why?
It's gonna throw another.
Sound effect.
God, man, look at this. So you get an instant quick attack on him.
Dude, I am rolling rocks.
Yeah.
Nice.
You can.
Can I?
You can.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, you can go. You can throw chi into it.
Oh, perfect. All right, so Spike Knuckles, Cheese Strike, he's right there. Just gonna punch him.
He's a demon. Holy crap! So that's gonna be power 2 damage.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
You kill him, but he explodes at the same time. But
Oh shit!
Dude, I've been rolling hot tonight. I'm
jeez.
gotta keep it going. Gotta keep the streak going.
Let me check
Oh,
this real
that's
quick.
going to be highest ever damage, right? So that's one saga and...
Oh no! Once you break 100.
Oh, 100.
Did you say you get rep when you hit 100? Is that right?
You get a free saga point.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. The bloater explodes at this point, and I think you might get a chance to dodge some of its stuff with a dexterity check, but I gotta check real quick, make sure.
Sure.
When they rupture, kill deals unarmed damage times 3 and toxic damage to those in a 1.5 blast radius. The victim takes damage. They must make a body save or become infected as well. Those hit with the rupture also suffer partial blindness for
Oh,
D4
shit.
rounds. Jeez, that's nasty. No, it doesn't say anything about being able to dodge it.
Lay it
This
on me,
helps.
brother. Hurt me. Hurt me!
That sucks. Alright, here it comes. Unarmed damage times 3. Do you have any toxic resistance? That would be under your...
Combat tab.
I do not.
You do get your armor, which is also under your combat tab, TAV.
Yeah, my total armor rating is 19, and my toughness is 3.
Oh, nice. So 19 is what you'll subtract from this.
Okay.
So that's good. You got some armor. Here it is. Unarmed times 3.
Okay. That's not terrible.
Not too bad.
Would have killed me, but apart from that...
Would have me too. At this point, yeah.
So some made it through. You do have the chance to become infected. Just go ahead and make a body save. You want to click on your target, and I think it says BS up there on your...
Rogue, one thing about the fireball, just to go back, I think I need to roll D100, right? See if they catch on fire.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Nah, okay.
Target
Alright.
was 18.
Yeah, target was 18. So he is infected. Go ahead and give him a point of physical fatigue for right now.
Okay.
On your front page under attributes, you can just click up on the next thing there. Alright, but it
Got
is, is it the zombie's turn? Nope, that zombie's dead. It's Humnahar's turn. Is that right?
All right. I think so, unless... Yeah, that must have been the zombie that... Yeah, that was the zombie that rushed me and I curb stomped. So, yeah, we're good.
I think I skipped. Oh, it was on the zombie, and I thought it was on the bloater because he's standing right over him.
I killed both.
Yeah, he killed the zombie. Remember, it fell.
Yeah, but I think see how it says the bloater right there is it goes after Humnahar.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying that
Yeah.
he attacked... You were supposed to do the other bloater, and you got the two confused.
Yeah,
Correct?
or I was supposed to do this bloater's where I was supposed to it went onto the zombie turn even though he was dead. He wasn't deleted. I just deleted him. Um, but that's all right. We'll push him up here. Sorry.
Okay.
So it is your turn, though.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So Humnahar, he's gonna be Rogue. I'm totally forgetting. What is the Kuthalan? What's the Kuthalan god? The dark one. Do you remember off the top of your head?
I'll look him up real quick. He
Okay.
is...
As you're looking it up, I'll go ahead and do what I was going to do. Yeah, Humnahar is just like soaked in like this gross toxic sludge all over him and blood and viscera. Perhaps he takes a brief look back at Gath and like his one eye is like all bulgy just from like the rush of battle. And so he is going to go ahead and man, I don't want to rush that other bloater, especially with what happened there. Okay,
Gazak.
well then, Gazak, thank you.
God of darkness and death.
Surely Gazak has chosen me as his instrument to bring you all to the underworld where you belong.
And he rushes forward out into the fray to take out this Taken up here.
Nice. Yeah, you can see its shield's like full of arrows, and it's kind of looking towards Durgar, and it starts to shift towards you as you come running out.
Sure, yeah, and he's just gonna do a big old super punch again. Can I do a 2-action attack here? Is that all right?
Mm-hmm. Heavy attack. Cool.
All right, heavy attack. Spike Knuckles and Chi Strike incoming. I thought he didn't have any more mana.
Well, I get the battle chant.
That's a hit.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to. Was I supposed to do a multiplier? Because I forgot to. If I was.
Yeah. That's all right. 28 damage, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a kill.
Yes. Perhaps he's like coming around too slow, and he just like clocks him right in his stupid skull face and knocks his head off.
And you still have movement. You have that one single action left, and then your frenzy.
So I'm not going to spend frenzy, but I will take an action to move forward on top of this guy to protect Durgar, so that nobody's rushing him anymore. And with my single attack, I'll attack this other zombie, if that's all right.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
Let me roll a d6 on that last chi attack too. Actually, I guess I need to roll 2 from the previous one. I didn't do either.
Yes, I keep meaning to go in and change your, add it to your actual rolls there.
No worries. Okay, and so then this will be a 1-action chi attack, and will that cost me frenzy or no?
No.
All right.
For this one, it's it.
Bam.
And that is enough to take him out.
Nice.
All right, you're on forfeiting frenzy. It is
Yeah.
this creature's turn. All right, this creature. It seemed like it was on the wall, and it jumps down, and it rushes over. I'm gonna just delete this because when you hit that zombie, he kind of turns to ash, like in that movie Blade when he kills those vampires. They kind of just ash, and this creature runs up, and initially it tries to slice at you with the tongue. These tongues have these weird kind of I forgot the name of the creature. It kind of suctions on him like a lamprey.
I'm gonna be all jacked up after this battle.
If they roll a 15 or higher, it automatically latches onto you and holds you, but that's not enough. Oh, it hits you though. For some reason, my macros aren't working. I need to go back through these and do these over. Only 10 doesn't go through your armor, does it?
Yeah, my armor's 19, so no.
Nice. Alright. And you hear another one running across the roof, up top. Let's see here. Try to go through this. Yeah, there we go. This one breaks through the window, Durgar, behind you, and lands on the table, and you kind of see it just starts hissing. I guess Gath and Durgar would see this as the creature comes in through the other side of the house.
Oh dear. Yeah. Durgar sort of wheels round and goes, Booger, one behind.
Creature, same attack on you. The stalker is going to try to lash you with a heavy attack. Coming at Hamnahar.
Oof.
Oh, that's a critical.
Oh. Well, let me see if I can dodge it.
For this one, you gotta get a crit.
Here's hoping. That is not a crit.
Multiplier is 4 on this one.
Oof.
Heavy attack times 2 for critical. Ooh. Minus your armor.
19, so I think that'd be 29 points of damage, right?
Yeah, that'll knock you to the ground as well.
Stay down when I shoot my fireball.
Yeah. That's good. It was meant to be. So I'll put this little marker on you that just means you're on the ground.
Sure.
All right. That's that one. We got one more bloater. Oh, this one is no longer obstructed. He's coming in after Gath. Oh, he comes charging in after you, Gath, and he's just gonna try to claw you.
Oh shit.
A big, heavy attack claw as he's coming at you.
My bad, Gath. I thought somebody might be able to take him out before he rushed in. Because y'all are
problem.
ranged.
This is defense, right? I click the defense. Dodge?
Yeah, you can do dodge, or you could try to block with your melee if you have anything in your hand that could that you want to try to throw in the way of it.
No, I'll just dodge. Oh shit. Oh shit.
So you do have a TAV of 6, so that 6 will soak whatever damage he does here. Damn it. Power 2.
Oh,
28.
Oh,
oh
No.
shit. 28?
28, yeah.
28. Holy shit, that's 12.
That's enough to knock you down, right?
Yep, that's
And-
enough to knock me down.
And you are an inch away from the, or a hex away from that hole, so you gotta make a
Oh
dexterity
no!
check.
Haha, dex save. How do I do dex save?
No.
You click on your
Attributes.
token attributes.
Yeah, okay.
Target number for this is 4.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah. He's hanging on. However you want to, yeah, you can explain
Yeah,
that.
so Gat, he hears Duragar say there's one behind, so Gat turns around to see what's behind, and he sees the stalker, and just as he turns to look away, in that brief second he's turned around to see the stalker, he looks up again and he sees this bloater right on top of him, this massive piece of rotting flesh, and it strikes at him, and Gat cannot get out of the way. It hits him hard. He gets hit so hard he starts walking back, and just before he's going to fall through the hole, he realizes where he is, and he kind of steadies himself and drops to the ground.
Yeah. And it is Duragar's turn.
Just trying to work out what's the best target. I think the one behind me is a problem for a few seconds time, so I'm gonna try and get this guy.
I appreciate it.
Hamnahar's down, right? So I can shoot straight over the top of him. I guess I'm at quite a high level as well, so I'll just shoot down. So again, it's going to be lots of separate attacks. Is that enough, or does it dodge?
That is, oh, for the stalkers, target is 7 for the stalkers.
Ah, not quite. Okay.
They have a,
Oh yeah.
that's a hit.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay, so the second one, I get him in the head. 4. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Nice, that is a kill.
Yeah, just the first shot goes just slightly wide of his head, so he just takes a breath the second time and just plugs it straight through the creature's forehead.
Nice.
Third attack on this other one here. Short bow.
Hit.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Nice, that's a wound.
Okay, and I've got to keep burning frenzy because I need to. But I think he's injured now. Hopefully Hamnahar... Is Hamnahar like unconscious or anything, or does he look like he's about to get up? He's about to get up, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm assuming he can finish this one off because I can't see any others. So I'm going to wheel round and take a shot. I'm going to burn 2 frenzy and take 2 shots at the one across the room from me.
That is a hit.
Hey. Yes. Okay, and one more. I'm just firing in rapid succession here. But I'm nearly out of arrows. I had so many. Oh, sorry, I've rolled damage. Let's roll the attack.
Well, just keep that damage if you hit.
No, I missed. Just missed. Okay. So
It is.
I fired almost all my arrows.
It is Gath.
Gat looks up at this at the bloater, and he casts. He doesn't bother getting up, but he just casts ignite, and he says, for the Oaken Father, burn! And aim, like he's going to burn 2 frenzy and shoot ignite twice. So casting ignite.
This is the one with the oil too, right?
Yeah. First spell hits.
Nice.
and it does have oil on it. You know what? I'm gonna give you power 6 damage. Basically doubles your power damage because of that oil. So
Since this is the first time I've actually hit something.
I know with that ignite spell, right?
Yep. So how do I roll the damage for this?
Oh, actually, I think.
Oh yeah, spell effects.
Spell effects. Go to ignite, and then
Modifier 0 and multiplier is 4.
6.
That's
you
right.
said.
That's right. The multiplier for this one is 4 because that one. Oh, nice.
Oh shit. Ah.
Yeah.
All right. In this instance, I'm gonna give you a chance to try to dodge it since you're like laying down and
Yep.
you hit him, and like I don't think he would just erupt immediately and explode. So I will give you a dexterity chance to dodge. What do you want to try to do? Because it looks like he's about to blow up.
Yep. Seeing that fuck, this is gonna hurt. So seeing that he's up, seeing that what I've done, and I kind of know the power of my spells. It's the first time, Gat said, for the Oaken Father, he kind of remembered his god, and as a last-ditch attempt, he chose to ignite, and all throughout this fight, it's almost like trying to light a match, and it keeps just going off. And this time, he knows that he's sent, this thing is going to light up the whole place. Gat is going to dodge, and for RP plus game effect, I would like to roll into the hole, even if I'm going to take damage from that.
You're awesome.
That's very cool.
So it's almost like he kind of, does like a tuck and roll. He brings his head down close to his abdomen. He puts his hand over his head, and he just rolls into that hole.
Cool. So go ahead and do a dex check, and we'll just see if he lands successfully, like the superhero. Or yeah, I think that's good enough.
And then he just says, he says all that. He says, and he just jumps down the hole, and he goes like tumbling down, and then he comes down to a halt, and he just like stands up on his feet.
I'm gonna put sight on you for the cam.
Cool.
That was awesome. And then right after you leave too, you can hear it go poof, when it blow up in there.
And he kind of says like, "Thank you, Oaken Father. I still fight in your name."
And then hopefully, Ted, you can have sight in there, can you? I mean, if you need to.
Sight in where?
This one is up for him. He went down in the hole and fell down into the basement.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, I gotcha. That's okay.
It is now the Victor.
Yeah, he's going to do Fire Sphere at the Stalker Roots. So.
Alright, cool.
I'm going to aim first, actually, though. So it gives me another +1 to my modifier, is that right? So if I concentrate...
+2.
+2, okay. So that'd be 2 actions.
Yeah. And this will be, yep, that's a hit.
So... Multiplier plus... It's not... This one is multiplied by my level?
Yes.
Okay. Alright. 9.
That's wound.
I'll cast Fire Sphere again. And that takes me down to... Can I concentrate with my last action and then use Frenzy to do the sphere?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'll do.
You can concentrate with Frenzy as well.
Okay, I don't need to. That's fine. So okay, I'm doing that one more time. Modifier 2, 11. Spell effects. better.
Nice. That one kills him.
Yeah, he just like it looks like with his offhand off the staff, he's just like throwing these like baseballs of fire, and one hits the thing in the chest, and the next one hits it in the face, and it just head just like ignites, and it just falls backwards into the snow. Oh, that sucked.
All right, and then it's at that point when Marcos jumps through the window and stabs this one in the back, taking this one out. Ending the fight, I believe, there. We'll go back over to you guys here in this room.
Yeah, so Nahar is like on the ground. Perhaps he's like coughing up blood from that last hit, and just like slowly stands up. Presumably, if anybody's watching, yeah, he like limps on over back into the cabin, maybe clutching the side, kind of looking to see if there's any more enemies.
By Gadzok's will, voice from the wilderness, you will be next.
And then he trips on the landing and stumbles inside, bleeding all over the place.
Mark, go ahead.
Duragar is going to just start going over to the bodies, and he's going to keep an eye on the trees as he does so, but he's trying to recover as many arrows as he can. He's going to evaluate their equipment, see if anything's useful, strip it off them, clean it up, and bring it in, just to kind of throw in a pile for people to take what they want, because he figures it won't be the end of this, so he's thinking about the next fight already.
As everybody's coming into the house, they would hear like scratching and clawing from the hole, and eventually Gat kind of emerges from the hole and stands on the ground and kind of shakes himself off, shakes his head. He looks around and he sees both Hamnahar and Fickbrick hurt, and he rushes to them and pulls out his medicine bag and pulls out a few herbs and starts chanting some incantations and works towards healing both of them.
Yeah, and for that you can do your healing skill, which won't take any mana. It's a natural healing. And whatever you roll. With your healing bag, I think it gives you a +3 modifier.
Cool.
And then whatever you roll on the dice, that's how many hit points they gain.
Nice. So this would be Hamnahar first. And this would be Fickbrick.
Nice. And then, yeah, you can do that once, basically per day, on them.
Cool.
Yeah, he's feeling a lot better after that.
And can I do it on myself as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I won't do it immediately. After doing that, I kind of, given the battle has raged so much and the amount's taken out of me and them, I kind of go to a corner and sit down, relight the fire. Actually, I ask Fickbrick to light the fire, and I sit next to it and try to warm up, and eventually I would do the healing on myself also.
Yeah, Fickbrick takes a minute. He's kind of resting before he lights the fire with his hand, as he is completely tapped of his mana, and he just,
Oh, the fire saved us again. I saw your fire.
He looks to Gath.
I liked that.
Yes, yes. It is the Oaken Father's will that I channel. It is the will of the animals and the spirits all around us, the good spirits, not these foul, evil, dead things.
Maybe. Or maybe you just have a fire inside you waiting to come out like I did.
That may be the case, Goblin, that may be the case. That last spell I did cast was the most powerful I've ever felt. That may be the case.
Yes. Well, at least we know where the secrets of the missing dead people went, eh? Outside and came back, like I told you all.
It's true.
You, Fickbrick and Durgar, you notice Marcos comes with some pouches, and he throws them in your laps, basically, and says, "Your sign-on bonus. You've certainly earned it."
Durgar will thumb through, make sure it looks like about 20, and then he'll nod and say, "Thank you. That's much appreciated. I'll make good use of it." And he tucks it away and carries on recovering equipment from all these bodies around the place, the ones that aren't burnt to a crisp.
Nahar is like up, probably sitting on the floor, kind of like up, maybe his back to a wall, just thinking about the battle. Would he know that the bloaters could have infected him?
Roger, you muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you would definitely know. You can feel that nastiness inside you, kind of making you feel ill.
So, just so I'm clear on what's going on, is this an infection like he's just sick, or is this an infection like he can turn into one of them?
You're pretty sure it's just sick. You don't think it'll change you.
Okay. So yeah, he's just coughing maybe a little bit, exhausted from the battle. Well fought, friends. It seems that Godzik guided you here to bring these foul creatures to their final resting place.
Durgar just kind of nods and carries on with his job.
So you think that perhaps these creatures come from that cave?
Gat looks at Marcos. It seems to be the case. One of Mira's old diary entries talks about a coven of witches in a cave not so far from this house. Maybe it is them who sent these creatures after us. Marcos, you are a well-traveled person. Do you think a cave like that could hold treasure that might help us with Wyrmfall?
He looks worried the whole time you're talking until you say that. And then you can kind of see the twinkle in his eyes. He looks towards the fire, and then he nods. He says, "I think that a cave like that could hold treasure indeed. Perhaps these witches have gathered up quite a bit of it, actually, killing off all the people in these woods.
Tell me, Duragar, Thickbrick, do any of those who we just slew look like your compatriots?
Duragar hadn't really thought about that, but he'll start actually looking at the bodies. I presume most of them are longer dead, but if any of them do look like our companions, I'll point it out.
No, none of them actually look like any of those guys.
And he'll kind of look them over and then just shake his head. Say, no, not yet anyway. Could be the way they're headed, though, poor buggers.
While your friends might be dead, we are given a chance to help them rest before they're turned into these abominations.
Oh, this is no way to end up.
Friends, I don't know about you, but I need to rest. I am quite tired from the battle. And if we're to make our way towards the cave, I would prefer to go in full strength.
That would seem only wise. This may be but a taste of what awaits us in that place. We should not take it lightly.
You guys are talking, and you notice Fickbrick is he's sitting in the corner. But what you hadn't noticed before, his eyes are closed, and he's just sleeping quietly. Every once in a while, he goes in his sleep, but he's completely out of it.
Marcus will nod to Hamnahar, and he says, I think this is a good idea. You should all try to get some rest, and maybe I will take first watch. Hopefully these witches do not send more of their foul scum after us tonight.
Duragar finishes up collecting as many of his arrows as he can and piling up all this equipment in the middle of the floor, and says, "Take what you want. We may have need of this stuff before too long. Your offer will be much appreciated. I could do with the rest. Thank you."
Yeah, Hum looks at him. Marcos just nods, and then tries to find a kind of a quiet area, maybe on one of the kind of dilapidated beds, but it's better than nothing, and lays down and tries to rest. But before he does, he'll go up to Fickbrick. Well, actually, no, Fickbrick's sleeping, but he'll go up to Duragar, kind of like outstretch his right hand, and thank you for taking care of that stalker that was over me that knocked me to the ground. I'm in your debt.
And Duragar will take his hand and say, "There's no debt. You cleared them away from window to help me. I took one off you. Just makes sense to work together for survival." He gives him a slight smile to kind of take any possible sort of sting out the words, but he says, "No, I didn't put myself at risk for you, so there's no debt. But thank you."
Nods, and makes his way off to a quiet corner to sleep. And he'll thank Gath as well for the healing.
Gat nods. He's sitting in a corner, cross-legged and clutching his left hand, and he's chanting head down and also rocking back and forth. And eventually he will fall to sleep as well.
Yeah, Duragar watches him for a bit, and he kind of looks around the room at these sort of new companions, and kind of shakes his head for a moment because they're a bit of an assorted bunch, let's say.
That's a nice way to say it.
Yeah, and he just kind of shakes his head a little bit, gives a sort of half smile, then closes his eyes.
And after everybody falls asleep, you can see Marcos is sitting there by himself. He unrolls a scroll that he pulls out of his satchel, and looks over the Drakar Jakal, and the words written in Ezethanol, the old dragon tongue. And he says, "Very soon, we will be rich. Never have to worry about these dangers again." And that's where we'll end it.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yay.
Hell yeah. Everybody
Thanks very
gets
much.
plus 15 saga points, and we'll do plus 25 reputation.
Hey.
Plus 25 good or bad?
We can do good, yeah. Good rep.
What?
When you say plus 15, that goes to the total saga points, right?
Yeah, that goes to total and to
Saved.
and to, yeah, and to saved, yeah.
You said 25 reputation.
Yeah, 25 rep, yeah. I'm not sure, but some of you might have gone up a level. I'm not sure.
I have.
Yeah, I had a couple things happen too. My reputation hit 115. It says title I'm known, and I leveled up.
Nice. So what happens when you go up a level? You get your character class ability for 4th level, which you can find in the core book underneath your class, the shaman or the demon hunter. You can actually find them in the handouts here on the right. Each one of them has been put in there, so you can just copy and paste it from your class. All the classes are there
Okay.
for you guys. And then you also get your gift rolls, which are, if you click on your token up at the top, you see the little present up there?
Yeah.
That is your, that'll roll your gift rolls for you, and at 4th level, you get, it says down here on level advancement under handouts. Hold on just a second, let me see. Level advancement, 4th level, you get a free talent, and you get 3 rolls. That's everybody. 3 gift rolls and a free talent. Gifts are kind of like just random whatever. It doesn't matter if